At 68, Dwight Yoakam finally confirms the rumors. At 68 years old, country music legend Dwight Yoakam has finally broken his silence, and what he's confirmed is sending shockwaves through Nashville and beyond. For decades, fans and critics alike have whispered, speculated, and wondered about the man behind the rhinestone suits and signature twang. Was there truth behind the rumors that followed him throughout his rise to fame? Well, wonder no more, because Dwight just confirmed what many long suspected, and it changes everything. So buckle up, because this isn't just another story about guitars and Cadillacs, this is the real Dwight Yoakam, unfiltered, and finally ready to speak. Path to stardom. Before Dwight Yoakam became a household name in country music, his path to stardom was carved out of raw determination, countless rejections, and late nights in smoky barrooms. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, he began performing in small venues across Southern California, a place not exactly known for embracing the twang of traditional country music. Yet Dwight's brand of hillbilly honky-tonk stood in stark contrast to the polished, pop-oriented country dominating Nashville at the time. He refused to conform to the urban cowboy trend, instead leaning hard into the gritty sounds of Bakersfield and rockabilly. This commitment to authenticity made it difficult to find gigs at first, but it also set him apart from every other act in the room. Yoakam's shows were raw and unflinching. He performed 5 sets a night in bars where fights broke out and beer bottles sailed through the air. In spite of the seedy surroundings, he treated every performance as a chance to sharpen his art. Without label support or mainstream momentum, Dwight relied on word of mouth, converting crowds one song at a time. Those years in the trenches forged the fire and edge that would come to define his sound. His first attempt to crack Nashville in the late 1970s was met with near-total indifference. Music City was focused on polished studio acts and publishing deals, not rough-around-the-edges live performers with an attitude problem. Rather than conforming, Dwight made the bold move to break in from the outside, proving that innovation could exist within tradition. These early struggles laid the groundwork for what would become a seismic shift in country music. Breakthrough with Guitars, Cadillacs. Dwight Yoakam's 1986 debut album, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc., was more than a strong first release, it was a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart of country music. At a time when the genre was drifting toward pop-driven production, Yoakam's record brought it back to its raw, rootsy essence. Produced by longtime collaborator Pete Anderson, the album embraced the Bakersfield sound, a California-born branch of country known for twangy guitars, sharp edges, and a honky-tonk heartbeat. From the very first notes, it was clear Yoakam wasn't chasing trends, he was creating a new lane grounded in tradition but delivered with a rock and roll spirit. The title track became his career-defining anthem. Its hook-heavy guitar riffs, lonely lyrics, and swaggering confidence resonated not just in country markets but in surprising urban ones too. The album went on to earn double platinum status, with Yoakam being credited for injecting cool and credibility back into country music. He didn't just play the genre, he lived it, and reminded everybody what it sounded like without gimmicks. When he finally landed at the top, it wasn't luck, it was the battle cry of a man who had worked his way up without ever compromising his ideals. His vintage persona and rebellious attitude made him both a revivalist and a revolutionary, and his debut album instantly changed the course of country music history. Back in the unexpected evolution. Dwight Yoakam's collaboration with alternative rock icon Beck marked a surprising and transformative chapter in his career. Their creative partnership emerged during the production of Yoakam's 2012 album 3 Pairs, where Beck co-produced 2 tracks. This unlikely pairing bridged generational and stylistic gaps, proving that country music could evolve without losing its soul. One of the most pivotal moments in their collaboration came during the recording of A Heart Like Mine. Yoakam had laid down a scratch track on electric guitar, an instrument he rarely let on, and Beck insisted he keep the take. That moment symbolized a real shift in Yoakam's creative mindset, letting go of perfectionism and leaning into emotional immediacy. Beck's guidance helped Yoakam rediscover the artistic freedom he had first felt performing live as a young man. The partnership also introduced Yoakam to an entirely new audience, indie and alt-rock fans who might never have otherwise found their way to Bakersfield twang. For Yoakam, working with Beck wasn't about following trends, it was about challenging creative boundaries while remaining grounded in emotional truth. In retrospect, it wasn't a creative sidestep, it was a reclaiming of artistic liberty that still resonates in his music today. From stage to screen. While Dwight Yoakam first rose to fame as a country music trailblazer, his talents were never confined to the stage alone. His breakout acting role came in 1996 when he played the menacing Doyle Hargraves in Billy Bob Thornton's critically acclaimed film Sling Blade. The dark, emotionally charged performance stunned audiences and established him as a serious actor, not just a musician dabbling in Hollywood. That role opened doors, and Yoakam walked through all of them. Over the years, he accumulated an impressive resume, appearing in Panic Room, The Newton Boys, Crank, and more recently Logan Lucky alongside Channing Tatum and Daniel Craig, directed by Steven Soderbergh. He also made a lasting impression on television in series such as Goliath and Under the Dome. Yoakam tended to gravitate toward complicated, morally ambiguous characters, roles that allowed him to access the same emotional truth that drives his music. Whether portraying a villain, a drifter, or a wise outsider, Yoakam brought lived-in authenticity to film. He has spoken openly about how acting and songwriting operate on the same rhythm, a tempo of emotional beats that, when performed truthfully, resonate powerfully with any audience. His move from stage to screen was never a detour, it was always an extension of the same storytelling instinct. Feud with Nashville's music establishment. Dwight Yoakam's early foray into country music was met with skepticism by Nashville's gatekeepers. Rather than embracing the polished mainstream sound of the 1980s, Yoakam doubled down on the raw, twang-heavy Bakersfield style, a throwback that felt jarring and out of place to many executives riding the urban cowboy wave. His skin-tight jeans, flashy jackets, and low-slung cowboy hat presented a visual contrast to the more buttoned-up styles of his contemporaries, and his boldness didn't sit well with the industry's power brokers. Rather than waiting for approval, Yoakam built his fan base through rock clubs and alternative venues in Los Angeles, working with Pete Anderson to create a sound that married honky-tonk heritage with rock and roll attitude. When guitars, Cadillacs broke through, the industry sat up and took notice, and Nashville never looked at traditional country the same way again. In retrospect, Yoakam's feud with the establishment had more to do with artistic tension than outright hostility. He defied conventions, and in doing so, paved the way for every artist who ever chose authenticity over formula. Legal disputes and the fight for his legacy. Behind the scenes, Yoakam's career hasn't been without its legal storms. His celebrated creative partnership with producer Pete Anderson, which defined the sound of his peak years, ended acrimoniously in 2004 when Anderson filed a lawsuit over alleged breach of concert obligations. The case was settled out of court, but the damage to the relationship was permanent. It marked the end of one of country music's most iconic producer-artist collaborations and pushed Yoakam toward taking full control of his own production work. Then in 2021, Yoakam launched a separate legal battle against Warner Music Group over ownership rights to his early catalog, including the landmark Guitars, Cadillacs album. His legal team argued that Warner had failed to honor his termination notices under the Copyright Act, a provision that allows artists to reclaim rights to their work after 35 years. The case settled privately in 2022, and while full details were never disclosed, the lawsuit itself became a rallying point for legacy artists fighting to reclaim their intellectual property. For Yoakam, it was a deeply personal stand, not just a legal maneuver, but a declaration that his early contributions to music history belonged to him. Brighter days in what he finally confirmed. Now, in 2025, the rumors that followed Dwight Yoakam for decades have finally been laid to rest, and the truth is more inspiring than anyone imagined. After years of speculation about whether the fire had gone out, whether the private man behind the persona had retreated for good, Yoakam answered with the one thing he's always done best: the music itself. His album Brighter Days, his first in nearly a decade and his 21st studio record, arrived as a full-throated confirmation that he never stopped evolving. Self-produced and recorded with his longtime band across 6 studios between 2021 and 2024, the album brims with 12 original songs alongside 3 masterfully chosen covers. It reflects a man transformed by profound personal change. During the pandemic, Yoakam married his partner Emily Joyce and welcomed their son Dalton in 2020. As he put it himself, "My world changed so dramatically during the pandemic. I had hope in the future delivered to me in the midst of one of the darker moments in our country's history." The album's lead single, a rollicking duet with Post Malone titled "I Don't Know How to Say Goodbye," Bang Bang Boom Boom, turned heads across genres and generations. The two had first bonded when Post guested on Yoakam's SiriusXM channel, Bakersfield Beat. When they finally hit the studio together, Post hadn't even heard the song until he walked through the door. He came in cold and, in Yoakam's own words, sang his ass off. The duo later performed together at Stagecoach and rode horses down Sunset Boulevard for the music video, proof that Dwight Yoakam's creative instincts remain as sharp and unpredictable as ever. The wider recognition has followed. Yoakam received a Lifetime Achievement honor at the 2024 Americana Music Awards, a moment that felt long overdue and deeply deserved. And in November 2025, he announced a co-headlining 2026 US tour with ZZ Top, dubbed the Dos Amigos Tour, further cementing his status as one of American music's enduring forces. The road ahead. As Dwight Yoakam enters this next chapter, he shows no signs of slowing down. At 68, he continues to evolve as both a musician and an actor, embracing new creative ventures while staying stubbornly rooted in the traditions he helped preserve. His SiriusXM channel, Bakersfield Beat, remains a platform not just for classic country and rockabilly, but for spotlighting underrepresented voices in the industry. He has become a genuine mentor to emerging artists who seek his counsel and respect his decades of hard-won wisdom. Looking to the future, Dwight Yoakam's legacy is still being written not only through his own body of work, but through the undeniable impact he's had on American music and film. His combination of innovation, respect for tradition, and bold individuality has made him a true original. Whether he's debuting new music, sharing a stage with Post Malone, or stepping in front of a movie camera, fans can count on the same raw power and emotional depth that has defined every chapter of his career. The road ahead may be open, but for Dwight Yoakam, it's never been brighter.